welcome back to They Did What? Your social internet's craziest, most entertaining stories where I go with them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I'm going to cover a story that actually was sent into my main channel, Strong Successful Male. However, given its subject matter, it's much more appropriate over here. All about a guy who I believe is probably in his mid-upper 40s, about my age, is now divorcing his wife after she cheated on him on a big vacation they went on to celebrate, I guess, their marriage or an anniversary or something. She cheated on him with a lead singer of a tribute band for the Goo Goo Dolls. The Goo Goo Dolls band that was popular in the 90s. Well, it turns out his wife has been obsessed with the band since they started dating. Above and beyond obsessed. It's ridiculous. And the first chance she gets, or at least seemingly, anything connected to that band, she cheats on him in the worst way. And now he's done. And I'll be going to go over here, guys, really making the point how it's amazing how musicians and rock stars, how gals react to them and become obsessed. And if, you best that your girlfriend or wife doesn't go to these shows without you. Because a lot of times, even if they are seemingly decent ones, if they ever had the chance to go in the back behind the stage, or you know what I'm talking about here, it ain't going to go well. And how they just go gaga over the freaking rock stars, you better be careful. And of course, ones that are obsessed with these things, you might want to question some things. Now, I want to point something else out. This guy, he definitely makes some mistakes. There's going to be a lot of smackable moments. My hand is ready to clobber him. But in the end, well, we hope that he handles this better. So it starts off, says, "Hi, it's Dave, and my wife just cheated on me with a loser musician." Well, that gets right to the point. Before I share the horrifying details and all that, I think it's important that you understand a bit of the backstory. I met my wife, who we will call Katie, while studying for my bachelor's degree at community college. Admittedly, I was a total snake in the grass back then. In fact, the year that I met Katie, I'd already had a couple of hotties and tried some pretty adventurous things, which I'm not going to mention. Well, you don't need to mention. Okay, you're a Chad. Well, obviously you're a retired Chad because some of these things would have happened to a actual Chad. But Katie was in a different league. She had amazing double Ds, a face so pretty I actually thought she was some kind of Victoria's Secret model. Okay, nothing like double Ds. Which is why I was very surprised when she sat down next to me on the second day of class and started to chat me up. I thought you were a Chad that did things you can't mention on this channel with the girls, but okay, she was a model. She looked like a model. Anyhow, she was mostly a great girl. She'd never been with anybody before me, which wasn't impossible back in the 90s, but it was still a bonus. Are you sure about that? Now, obviously, you can tell, but how do you know other entry points were with other individuals before you? That you can't prove. But perhaps the only major red flag was her unusual obsession with the Goo Goo Dolls, a band I cannot stand. Well, if you couldn't stand it, and she was obsessed, that means she was going to always be obsessed, and you should have had your fun with her and then moved on. She would travel the country to go to their concerts. She literally listened to them constantly, and what was weird is that at times she'd talk about the lead singer in a way that would almost suggest they were involved. There we go. Oh, so you're telling me that when you met her, college age and all that, in her prime, was so good looking that she could have been a Victoria's Secret model with the big double Ds and all that, liked to regularly go to these concerts, and you're telling the rest of us, brother, let's come on here, that she was pure? No other guy before you? If still that is so, and that one entry point, there ain't no way the other entry points weren't violated, if you will, by her own accord. Let's be honest here. Going to concerts all the time? Okay. In fact, on one occasion, when we were out for coffee, she had a copy of some kind of teen gossip magazine, and she was all choked up because the magazine said the singer was engaged. I asked her why was she crying, and she slammed the thing shut and said she didn't want to talk about it. And this didn't tell you it's time to end this relationship? In retrospect, it's clear to me now that she was obsessed with him to an unhealthy degree. Not to mention her room was basically a mural to the guy. And she had some tattooed some of the band's lyrics on her bathing suit area. Major red flags. There wasn't just one red flag, lots of red flags. And I mean buying about her whole history thing. Now I'll tell you what the tattoo said, because it's going to matter later in a way that I still don't have the right words for. In her bathing suit area, in what I can only describe as an aggressively decorative font, it said, "Why don't you slide?" Oh, that's nice. A Goo Goo Dolls lyric tattooed. There. I made the mature decision not to ask too many questions about it. This was a mistake, but again, we're on to that later. Smack! I guess I should have smacked him before a few times. And I said I was going to smack him a lot. Oh, hell no, you should not question that. Although her obsession with the band never faded, my feelings for her only grew. Smack! She roped in with the double D's. So on New Year's Eve 2000, I surprised her with front row tickets to see the Goo Goo Dolls. Oh boy. Throughout almost the entire concert, she was absolutely electric. That night, I was rewarded with some of the finest activity I had ever encountered. And I say this as a man who was basically a Chad back in the 90s. Yes, we know, Romeo. Yeah, you got the best action ever because she was imagining the lead singer and doing what she would do to him. But, okay. It's hard to even describe. I'll just say it's the kind of thing you only see in adult entertainment and leave it there. Okay, again, Romeo, yeah, we get the point. One additional piece of context for the story, we were not using protection. Smack, smack, smack. Are you nuts? You out of your mind? So 9 months later, I became a father. Well, that's what happens. And I am humiliated to confess that we actually named our son after the singer of the Goo Goo Dolls. Smack! You pee-whip jackass. What happened to the Chad? No way would the Chad do that. I'm not going to say the name on air because I prefer to protect my family's privacy. Well, anybody can Google the name of the lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls, so we'll be able to figure out the name. Anyhow, we got married shortly thereafter, and in many ways enjoyed what was an average middle-class American life. Baseball games, barbecues on the back porch, the ups and downs of any marriage. The one thing that remained constant was her obsession. She only really listened to songs that she heard on the radio, and didn't even bother with the deeper cuts. A woman who loved the idea of something more than the thing itself. I should have thought harder about that. Well, too late. You already married her, and I hope like hell that the kid is yours. Well, fast forward to last year. Okay, we're jumping way ahead in time here. Both of us well into middle age, and my wife asked if we could spend our anniversary on a trip to Clearwater, Florida, since nearby there is a Goo Goo Dolls cover band that everybody loves. Shocker. Of all places. I agreed, we visited the beach, and we worked on reconnecting the way we did when we were younger, if you know what I mean. Yes, I know what you mean, Romeo. We all know what you mean. I'm just messing with you, bro. I appreciate you writing this in. I know this isn't a good time for you, but you say some of these things, I gotta give you shit about it. Well, I had put on a nasty gut by this time, but Katie, stretch marks aside, had held up quite nicely for an older woman. Smack! Lose that gut, dude. If she, aside from stretch marks, which you can't help if she's given birth, she's looking pretty good. You got yourself a nasty gut. You should allow yourself to get that way. I want you to work on that. She'd gone the Botox route, oh boy, and she'd gotten a little work done to counteract what gravity has been quietly doing over the years. In other words, she was your classic well-maintained situation. So we're in Florida, and it's the first time in a while she'd been around a lot younger women in swimwear. Oh boy. And her competition mode clicked on so hard. She started fighting with me, demeaning me, and criticizing the fact that I stayed in an affordable family hotel. She wanted the Ritz-Carlton. I chalked the whole problem up to menopause issues and decided it was best to let the storm pass and not argue. Smack! Don't take shit from her. She's giving you shit because you're not staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Bitch can get her out her own money and pay for the Ritz-Carlton if she wants to compete with the young girls there. Freeloading after some guy there. Bro, your woman, girlfriend, wife, whatever, is bitchy to her. I don't care if she's going through menopause. There's no excuse. You use some pushback. And I'm not saying you argue and get into a big fight because that's what they want. Primarily, it's you let them know I'm not going to put up with this shit, and you walk. Instead, I rented a car and drove about 5 miles out of Clearwater to a bar where the Goo Goo Dolls cover band was scheduled to play. Oh boy. At first, I really couldn't understand why she wanted to visit that dive bar, but when I saw that the singer of the band looked quite a lot like the singer from the real band, the dots started to connect. Dude, she's nuts. You can be fans of various things, but come on here. After the concert, my wife wanted to take selfies with him. And I've always seen this as a form of emotional cheating. Women taking photos with men they admire more than their husbands, with the husband standing by the side taking the picture. I noticed it, and I stepped to the side. Smack! If you have a problem with it, you should handle it accordingly. But what do you expect? Come on here. I'm surprised she wasn't in the front row lifting her recently worked-on boobs. Well, that's exactly what Katie did. She pushed this guy up next to her for the photo. But it didn't end there. But wait, there's more. He asked for a copy of the picture for his social media, so the two exchanged phone numbers, and my wife sent the picture over to him. I was already pretty irritated, but look, if I'm being fair, I don't get jealous the same way I used to. Well, smack! She shouldn't be giving this guy the phone number. What you could do is, fine. Then, somebody gets his phone, takes some selfies for his phone, now he has the fucking pictures. No. Well, when we were younger, I was different. Maybe to offer a better analogy, it's like when you get a brand new car. You take really good care of the new car, drive it carefully, and park it far from anybody. Once the car gets a bunch of miles on it, you care less and less. Before you know it, you're parking in urban centers, and you don't even care if it gets bumped a bit. To some degree, that's where I was with Katie, and I think she knew it. Probably made the whole competition drive even stronger. That's actually probably a pretty good analogy for a lot of guys who married a long time, and it's like they're roommates, and you become indifferent. It's like that older car that you get a little ding on it, you're like, whatever, I'm going to be replacing it next year anyway. Even so, it doesn't really excuse what she did next. One of my kids called me with a homework question, and I had to go outside because the bar was too loud. When I came back in, I couldn't find Katie or the lead singer of that band anywhere. It was like they just vanished into thin air. Gee, I wonder what happened to them. I don't think they were abducted by aliens, and I don't think they had Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, so they're somewhere and probably together. Well, then 10 minutes later, I saw him emerge from the men's room, looking like he was trying hard not to act suspicious. And momentarily after that, Katie follows out. I guess the ladies' room line was too long, and she just went to use the throne in the men's room. That's the only explanation. What the fuck? Adjusting her skirt in a way that could best be described as a walk of shame. See, this is usually when you should be walking out the fucking bar door and leaving her ass behind. Yeah, she loves you so much, man. At the time, I didn't want to believe it. After all, that was the mother of my kids. The love of my life, my sweetheart. Isn't this the same woman you just compared to the car that has so many miles on it that you really don't give a shit what happens? And now the love of your life and sweetheart? Dude, again, the obsession, rock stars. And this is just a lead singer of a cover band or a tribute band or whatever, who just looks like the main singer of the Goo Goo Dolls. We've been loyal to each other for all these years. I don't know about that. So I pushed the concern to the back of my mind, and I can't really explain what I did next. Smack! You pushed the concern to the back of your mind? Why don't you push your way out of the bar and leave her ass there? Dude, I believe probably your whole marriage you've been a pushover, and this is why she treats you like this and why I'm not saying this to be an asshole, but you need to hear this, dude. I want you to kid yourself here, because you're going to be rebuilding your life and, Rather than confronting her, as I wanted to, rather than calling her every name in the book, I went into full seduction mode, big time, putting the moves on her. Okay. Now the next part is pretty personal, but you're going to tell me anyway. But let's just say that it's what I found downstairs. It did not smell, look, or feel fresh, if you know what I mean. Weirdly, we end up together all the same. So after all that, you end up hooking up with your wife after she cheated on you? Dude, any other time somebody would think this sounds like a cuck thing or something like that. And when we were done, I completely lost it. I sat up and told her I knew exactly what had happened. And instead of denying it, she just started talking. It turns out that she's been texting this guy for months. Now we're getting somewhere here. The Florida trip wasn't a coincidence. She arranged the entire thing. The bar, the show, the encounter. Remember what you just said about your mother, your kids, and the love of your life, and has always been loyal to you? Obviously not. My anniversary trip that I planned, that I paid for, then I made a mistake of saying, look, he doesn't even know who you are. He's a cover band singer. And then she said calmly that actually he did know who she was now, and she showed me her phone. The cover band singer had connections to the actual Goo Goo Dolls world, and he passed the story along, and word had reached the actual lead singer, the man whose lyric was tattooed on my wife in her bathing suit area, and this guy had found the whole thing so flattering that he brought it up at his next concert. Described the tattoo, read out the lyric, "Why don't you slide?" to a live audience. Said it was the most devoted act of fandom he'd ever encountered in his career. Into a microphone in front of people with phones, the clip has 17,000 views. And to a psycho fan like your wife, this is like a dream come true. So obviously she knew that she's not going to be able to chit-chat on Instagram or whatever with the main lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls, but the next best thing, this guy looks just like him in a cover band, tribute band in Clearwater, Florida. Now a lot of you guys are going to be Googling or Instagramming Clearwater, Florida to see who this guy is. My wife is a Goo Goo Dolls concert story. The tattoo I chose not to ask about has been announced online, and I named my son after that man. Well, maybe you can tell your son, hey son, you want a new name? Then my wife said she wanted a separation. You think? Said that she's been feeling invisible for years. Oh, here we go. This is your fault. She said that she'd overheard me do the car analogy at some point, and it was the single most disgusting thing she'd ever heard another human being say. She said she has a lawyer's number in her phone, and she's been holding on to for 6 months. And that's the only reason she'd come on this trip, was to confirm what she already knew. Oh, okay. Yeah, so she stayed on for 6 months so she'd get you to pay for this trip, come down here, hook up with the Goo Goo Dolls tribute band singer, whatever he's called, and now rub it in your face and prove this is why she did it all along, because you're such a bad husband. There were maybe 4 minutes where I was not my best. The couple next door knocked on the wall. You mean you tore her a new one? After that, I ordered room service, ate it alone, put on a documentary about whales, watched the whole thing, and in the morning, I drove us back in silence. What do you mean you drove us back in silence? Why don't you skip room service, the documentary on fucking whales, and get in your car and leave her ass behind and go home? She can get a goddamn Uber to the airport or something like that. Smack, 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 dude. So I guess the moral of the story is that my wife of over 30 years turned out to be a dirty 304. And I hope any of the guys who hear the story take my experience as a warning. Thank you, SSM, Dave. Good God, Dave. Bro, I want to help you here, but you got to help yourself. What the fuck? There are so many mistakes here I can't begin to start. I'm not going to blame so much younger Dave because you were young and I'm obsessed and mesmerized by those double D's on that Victoria's Secret body. But goddamn, dude. Well, there's been a lot of fucking up here. But at this point, the marriage is over, whether she wants it or you don't. Or you do. So, yes, when you get home, and obviously you're home now, talk to your lawyer or lawyers. Find out your options to end this fucking miserable thing. And I don't know how many kids you have, but make sure you control the narrative here. But my God, man, yeah, this girl that's that obsessed with the Goo Goo Dolls, or any band for that matter, you gotta know you take them to a freaking concert, or they go on their own. If they're that good looking, things are gonna go well. I'm not buying at all that she was 100% pure when he got with her. Maybe in one area, but believe me, there's plenty of stories of girls that actually remain pure in that location, but they're anything but pure in entry point B and entry point C. Okay? And so I'm not buying that at all. And I hope like hell your son is yours. I'm sure he's a great guy. I mean, but good Lord. And then he stayed with her all this. And I have a very hard time believing all these years, given her behavior, and she's been that pure and loyal. That would be nice, but I'm just not buying it based on her behavior. Sounds a little too, like she's had a lot of experience going into bathrooms with musicians and stuff like that. I know you don't want to hear this, but I'm being honest with you. And you didn't write in for me to bullshit you. And then just what she did there. I mean, and it also sounds to me that obviously for a very long time, no respect for you given her behavior and throwing tantrums about not being at the Ritz and all those other things and doing that to you. Now one can say, well, maybe she heard you making that car analogy, and this is the big thing of revenge. Don't get me wrong, women certainly can really lay out the revenge, but still, good God. So the point about the whole thing is, what's done is done. Now get rid of her, end of story, no reconciliation. How could there be reconciliation? And move the hell on, okay? Take the hit. It's going to be a sting because you've been with her all this time, but I'm assuming all your kids are legal adults at this point, obviously. And then you get hit with the alimony, depending on who makes more and all that. And you're probably going to end up moving. You'll probably get the house, depending where you live, but you can start over. And I want you to really examine why it is you put up with this crap all these years, and why you didn't leave her at that bar, or why you didn't just leave her in that hotel and skip the documentary on fucking Free Willy, and you left and went home. You know, you got to shed this nice guy behavior. You said back in the day when you were young, you were a Chad. Now, maybe you were a Chad because you were good looking and in shape back before you had the big giant beer belly, you said, and you got girls. But you certainly, how you're acting doesn't sound like no Chad to me. But a lot of guys become that way, like the old death by 1,000 cuts, that type of thing. But you have a chance to start over, rebuild, and all that. And I know a lot of guys are going to be very annoyed with this story, but they're going to give it to you. But anyhow, man, you can turn around, you can redeem yourself, but you got to get rid of her and let her go have her obsession with the Goo Goo Dolls and all that. And she's probably going to try to hit up this guy, and he's going to be like, who the hell is that crazy woman? And that's that. But don't let, when she realizes what it's going to be like without you, don't let her waterworks rope you back in. That's all I'm going to say. So, guys, there you go. Beware of the obsessed gals over bands and all that. It probably ain't going to go well for you. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. I can't wait to hear the comments here. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.